Today, we're jumping into some of the brilliant ideas from Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. And it all boils down to this. When it comes to money, how you behave is way more important than how smart you are. So let me start with a story that sounds completely made up, but I promise you it's 100% true. It's about a janitor named Ronald Reed who quietly built a massive fortune without anyone knowing. The question is, how much? $8 million. Yep, you heard that right. 8 million. A humble janitor. Just let that sink in for a minute. The obvious question is, how on earth did he do that? Well, he didn't win the lottery. He didn't get a huge inheritance. His secret was actually pretty simple, maybe even a little boring. He just saved what he could over and over for decades and let compounding do the heavy lifting. His story is the perfect setup for everything we're about to talk about. And this quote from Housel just nails it. Financial success isn't some complex physics problem. It's a soft skill. It's all about your own behavior, patience, discipline, avoiding dumb mistakes. It's not about what you know, it's about how you act. And, that changes the game completely. Okay, so let's dive into our first big idea. The market offers incredible returns, right? But those returns come with a price tag, and it's not what you think. Think of it this way. You want a nice watch? The price is clear. It's written right there on the tag. You pay the money, you get the watch. But with investing, the price for amazing returns isn't paid in dollars and cents. It's paid with emotions, with fear, with doubt, with the gut-wrenching uncertainty of watching your portfolio go up and down. That's the real fee. And believe me, that price is steep. I mean, think about Netflix, one of the best performing stocks ever. Well, if you owned it, you had to survive an 80% plunge in 2011. Even a safe S&P 500 investor had to stomach a grand total of about 13 years where their account was down 20% or more. That pain, that's the price of admission. Now, that emotional roller coaster leads us right into our second point, a really dangerous mental trap, the idea of enough. This is just such a great line. Capitalism is an absolute machine at creating wealth, no doubt about it, but it's equally good at creating envy. And that feeling, that urge to keep up with the people around you, can make even multimillionaires feel like they're falling behind. I mean, just look at this envy ladder. The doctor making $500,000 a year feels pretty good, right? Until he looks at his neighbor, a CEO making $10 million. But then that CEO hangs out with Michael Jordan, and suddenly his $10 million feels like pocket change. And then MJ is at a party with Jeff Bezos. You see where this is going. There's always someone with more. It's a game you just can't win.
So how do you
get off that ladder? You have to follow this incredibly important rule. Never, ever risk the things you actually have and need, like your house, your family, your freedom, for something you don't have and frankly don't need. Okay, next up is a really powerful idea about empathy. We love to look at other people's financial decisions and think, wow, that's just crazy. But is it really? So check out this data. On average, the lowest income folks in America spend about $400 a year on lottery tickets. That's 4 times more than the highest income group. And for a lot of these people, $400 is what they need for an emergency. So your first instinct, my first instinct, is to say that's insane. What a waste of money. It seems totally illogical. But what if we're looking at it all wrong? See, for someone who feels like traditional paths to wealth are closed off, a lottery ticket isn't a spreadsheet calculation. It's not about the odds. It's about buying a tangible dream. For a few dollars, you get to imagine a completely different life. From that point of view, it kind of makes sense. Nobody's crazy. We've all just lived different lives. And that idea, that we're all just products of our own unique experiences, ties directly into our fourth point. You can't predict what's coming next, so you have to prepare for surprises. These are what some people call black swan events. They have 3 key features. 1, they're total outliers that nobody sees coming. 2, they have a massive, world-changing impact. And 3, after they happen, everyone convinces themselves it was obvious all along. And if you look back at history, it's just one black swan after another. The Great Depression, World War II, the 2008 financial crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic. Nobody's crystal ball saw any of those coming, and yet they changed everything. This is exactly why trying to jump in and out of the market is such a loser's game. Get this statistic. If you invested in the S&P 500 for 20 years, but you missed just the 4 best days, your total return would have been slashed almost in half. The goal isn't to predict, it's to endure. All right, for our last big idea, let's talk about why our brains are so attracted to pessimism, even when history shows that optimism is the winning long-term strategy. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The person who's yelling that a crash is right around the corner, they sound smart, right? They sound like they've done their homework. Meanwhile, the optimist who says things tend to get better over time sounds, well, they sound like a salesperson, a little naive. And there's a deep-seated evolutionary reason for this. As the great Daniel Kahneman points out, our ancestors who treated threats, like a rustle in the grass, as more urgent than opportunities, like a piece of fruit on a tree, were the ones who survived to pass on their genes. We are hardwired to pay attention to bad news. Okay, let's do a super fast recap. Number 1, the real price of getting good returns is putting up with fear and volatility. 2, enough isn't a number, it's a decision you have to make. 3, people aren't crazy. Their financial choices make sense based on their own life experiences. 4, forget predicting, focus on preparing. And 5, our brains are built to listen to pessimists, even when optimists have the facts on their side. So I'll leave you with this final question to chew on. When you really think about it, what's your most powerful tool for building wealth over the long haul? Is it the complicated spreadsheet you built, or is it your mindset?